God help me, it's another episode of The Mike Show. Hailed as a bleak and blunt prophet, celebrated as a grim and grimy guru of the gutter. Ladies and gentlemen, the ambassador of angst and the host of The Mike Show, Mike.
Thank you, Tom. I'll refer to you from now on as my co-host.
Oh, there we go. You'll refer to me as your co-host?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you were telling me you actually have something planned for tonight's Mike Show.
Yes, I've got a guest that was originally scheduled for last week. Mm-hmm. He's been kind enough to join us this week. He's the writer-director of several movies, many of them set in our beloved state of New Jersey. They include the independent film classics Clerks and Chasing Amy, and most recently, Zack and Miri Make a Porno, currently out on DVD. He's written comic books, which you can purchase at his website, viewaskew.com, and at his store, The Secret Stash in Red Bank, New Jersey. He's currently scouting locations for his next movie, A Couple of Dicks, due out next January. And on June 17th, and I still can't believe this one, he'll be appearing live at Carnegie Hall. Welcome to the Mike Show, Kevin Smith.
Hey.
Hey, Kevin. How are you?
I'm good. I still can't believe the Carnegie Hall one myself.
How did you pull that one off?
I didn't, sir. Somebody came to me with it. The two producers of the event came to me, and they went to a show I did at the Bergen Pack Center, and I guess they'd been kind of they knew I did Q&A, and they poked their head in on one or two, but this one they sat through, and afterwards they were like, "Well, would you like to play Carnegie Hall?" And I said, and after that show, because it was weak, I figured at that point, I believe I totally said it in the press release, that I think that signaled the death knell of Carnegie Hall as a classy institution that would only have talented people on its stage.
Yeah, I mean, I thought maybe it was something that, like, you just wanted to, that nothing was sacred to you, that you sort of wanted to make your mark.
Oh, heavens, no. I wish it was that premeditated. It was one of those things where if somebody had never said, "Hey, I think we can get you into Carnegie Hall," I never would even thought about it. You know, it's just so out of the realm of possibility. But no, certainly not I will besmirch this stage as well. You know, not at all.
Okay. Now, you were supposed to be on last week's show, but you blew me off so you could attend what turned out to be one of the worst collapses in NHL history.
I know. I was cursed by passing on your show.
Yeah, I gave you the Mike Show hex.
You really did, man. You lisked me, sir.
Did you at least get to see grown men humiliating themselves after the game, or?
Yeah, I was one of them. You know, it's weird. You never think you'd cry over a sport that you're not playing, and yet
actual tears were flowing.
And yet it can happen from time to time. Yeah, it was an amazing collapse, man. It was. You know what it was? I mean, I'll go this way because it's me on the phone, and this is what I normally do. But it was definitely the real world equivalent of Jersey Girl. It got really far, and then right at the end, everything just went wrong.
Yeah, I've seen you allude to Jersey Girl as one of your biggest disappointments.
Yeah.
It used to be Mallrats, and now it seems that you've sort of switched over to Jersey Girl. What was it because you? I mean, I thought the movie was a bit different from what you've been known for doing.
Right.
But you also got caught up in that whole what was it? The Ben Affleck Jennifer Lopez thing.
Yeah.
And was that part of it, or?
I mean, certainly. I mean, you would love to be able to say no, but yeah, of course, that's definitely a part of it. But that wasn't all of it. I think there was just by the time that movie came out, there was just an albatross hanging around its neck of people going, "Oh, those two people are in it."
Yeah.
I had just seen a movie, or more to the point, not gone to see a movie with those two people in it.
Right. You felt like the audience, kind of the potential audience, had pretty much had enough of those, the hype that was in the papers and so on about the whole relationship.
I mean, there's absolutely a degree of that, but can you blame it all?
No,
because somehow, I don't know if it was. You can't blame just the Bennifer effect because Gigli did about $6 million total at the box office. If we were the film that followed it, so by all rights, you'd imagine we would have made like half of that, because people are like, oh my God, we won't get fooled again. And somehow we managed to make like 25 mil, which still wasn't as much as we spent to make it. We spent 35 mil. But, it was, I always thought, I was the one, look, you grasp at straws in a moment like Jersey Girl where you're like, where's my dignity? You're just something to hide behind. And that's it. It's usually the moment when you're like, hey, at least we weren't Gigli, but that's not really saying much, and that's not what we set out to do, not be Gigli,
But did you feel like after that you were a little reluctant to try anything new?
Not really. It wasn't that. I mean, I know based on, as the chips fell, Clerks 2 wound up being next, and a lot of people were like, oh, he went right back to the well, and we joked about that so much during the production that we called the behind-the-scenes series on the flick Back to the Well. But that was always going to happen next anyway, regardless of what happened with Jersey Girl. But so, no, it didn't. I mean, then the movie we did after that was Zack and Miri, and it wasn't connected to my other stuff either. I mean, look, let's be honest. My shenanigans and my chicanery only garners about $30 million worth of box office for any given cinematic endeavor. I accept that. That's what I am. It's like knowing that I'm trying to be radio safe. It's like knowing that your manhood is not what everyone else's is.
Well, I mean,
it's like having a thumb. I mean, what can you say on radio anymore?
Yeah, I mean, my co-host wants to speak.
Yeah. Hi, Kevin. I'm a huge fan. My name's Tom. I just
Hey, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you tonight?
Good.
I would say
so weird. If I had to guess voices, I would have said you were Mike, and that was the other guy.
No, this is Mike's show. I'm just his sidekick.
Sidekick. I heard. I listened. So, yeah, theme music as well, which I was like, wow.
Yeah, well, Mike, Mike does it right.
Yes, no doubt.
So, I think you're along the right lines. If you say something to that effect, we're radio safe.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I'm used to doing the podcast where we just
Yeah.
No, every once in a while, I just have to kind of maintain the we are on the air thing.
Yeah, if this was the off-the-air version of the Mike Show, we would have definitely delved into what it was like to work with Katie Morgan and Tracy Lords, the bubble scene.
It would be a boring story, unfortunately. We could even tell it in the PG-13 Mike Show.
And the bubble scene, and also the mechanics of the Dutch rudder.
Yes, well, that would require a bit more.
Yes.
That would require a bit more freedom of speech than I think we probably have based on the FCC. But safe to say that it wasn't nearly as exciting as one would imagine.
My co-host was experienced a bit of Twitter envy when you immediately followed me. He was just curious as to the background that we have. Can you take us back to?
Because
let me take y'all back to
because Mike has you have hundreds of thousands of people following you. You follow a handful of people. Then all of a sudden, I look, and Mike is one of them somehow.
Right.
And then I said, Mike,
I've always found whatever Mike had to write online interesting. So Twitter is kind of the. Mike and I, to be fair, have been doing what Twitter people have been doing for over 13 years now.
Yeah, I think it was like late '97.
I get. Well, we put up the board, my message board at viewaskew.com in late '95. It was after Mallrats collapsed, worse than the Devils, worse than Jersey Girl, and we were kind of looking for a place online based on the fact that someone had told me, like, hey, have you ever seen any of the Clerk shrines online? And I went looking for them at an internet cafe because I didn't even have a computer at that point, and found them. And I was like, wow, I had no explanation for it. I had no technology or language to describe it because I'd never seen a website before. I was like, it's like a magazine, but it's on a computer. I don't know how to explain it. So we started the website late '95, and it had a message board component that allowed for me to kind of sit there and answer questions and whatnot and interact with people that like our movies. And as I come to learn, interact with people who didn't like our movies too much either. So that's where Mike comes in.
So you see,
under the identity of a gentleman, he didn't go for capitalization. Unassumingly went for B Buster, no periods, no capitalizations, double B USTER.
So you see this guy, B Buster,
yes,
who And what to give us an example of the type of things he's saying about you? But he caught your eye out of the sea of all these posts.
Yeah,
this one guy.
In 19, as Mike said, probably early 1997. I'll probably put it at. It was post Amy. I'll put it at 97 as well.
Okay.
A B-Buster post will differentiate itself from everybody else by being the one poster who's just like, "Oh my God, you're a terrible filmmaker. What a buffoon you are." So in the midst of a sea of nothing but kindness, or what some people refer to as a sea of ass-kissery, he stood out as the lone guy who was like, the emperor has no clothes. And so we began that relationship where Mike would write horrible things, and I would defend myself. And it was... He was kind of the first, when people talk, or when I've ever spoken about people online who I've gotten into battles with and whatnot, B-Buster led the absolute way, and it was a real baptism by fire. Because let me tell you, I don't think anybody could roast me as well as he did in those days. Because you got to remember, I was not prepared for it.
Now, can I ask you a question,
Sure.
Mike? First of all, let's just say we are joined. This is the Mike Show. We're joined by director Kevin Smith.
Hello.
On the program, and people can go check him out. He's got a Carnegie Hall date coming up on June
17th.
June 17th, and I guess people can get tickets. Where can they get tickets?
The Carnegie Hall website.
Through the Carnegie Hall website, and I want to just say I think everybody should check it out because it'll be like the DVDs you do, like the appearances.
It will, but honestly, without trying to sound like too much of a huckster, the live show is always better because you could just, things happen in that evening that you never wind up repeating. Some of the stories I tell, by virtue of the fact that I've only lived one life, I'm going to tell the same story more than once. Odds are, and chances are, and the fact of the matter is I've told, like every story I ever tell, I've probably told before I've told it to you in the audience. And which is why it's kind of so well honed or whatever.
Well, it's definitely worth people's time and money to go check you out.
It can be fun, even if you don't like the movies we've done. It promises to be an entertaining show.
Yes, and people should check it out on June 17th. And I just wanted to know, Mike, so give us your side of this now. What led you to pick on poor Kevin Smith here?
Internet feuds, of course, are probably the most forgettable things ever today.
Back then, though, different story.
It was. It was, and basically, you were unlucky enough to be literally almost the first message board. I think it was the first message board I ever encountered on the internet.
Right.
And what happened? I saw an article, I guess, in the Star Ledger. I think it was originally right before Chasing Amy came out, and I just started checking out the board. I wasn't even posting. I didn't go there to slam you.
Right.
Originally, it was sort of the overwhelming adulation was just a little, that's what it was, but it just seemed, let's say, unrealistic, or just, I don't know, the perspective was askew. Plus, I was older than, I guess, your sort of median age, and that fanboy culture sort of caught me off guard, and it was just weird to me.
Right.
When I was in my 20s, I was, bird dogging chicks and getting loaded.
Right.
And these guys are talking about comic books and those collectibles.
But they were all. But here's the thing about that: like those cats were also bird dogging chicks and probably getting about as lucky as any of us did.
No, I'm not saying
in their downtime, they were all sitting around talking about Star Wars and whatnot, because that is the realm that they can actually absolutely discuss knowledgeably. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was different. Like, see, when I was that age, music was the thing.
Right.
And I guess it sort of, it took me by surprise. And I remember the first post, it wasn't really just a slam at you, because I remember I sort of did a takeoff of the Grapes of Wrath speech.
Right.
I'll be there. Wherever grown men are reading comic books, I'll be there. Wherever young men are buying collectibles and not taking them out of the box because they're worth more, I'll be there.
Right.
So I kind of, it wasn't really, I didn't go in there with, an attack mode from the beginning.
Right.
I when I saw Clerks, I didn't see it in the theater, but I read. I literally grew up in the same county as you,
right.
And I saw the press in the Asbury Park Press and other papers,
right.
And I wanted to love that movie. I was just like, this is so. This guy did it. The local boy does good. And, I think maybe, possibly because of the age difference. But, humor is a subjective thing.
Very.
And it just I didn't find, I wasn't laughing that much.
Right.
But I hadn't seen Mallrats. I don't even think I saw Chasing Amy until after I was posting. So, it wasn't really, I went in there just to slam you.
Right.
But, I have to say, I found the whole thing very amusing, just because he had literally hundreds of people who were now, defending him. And I was kind of just, in this sort of villainous role. And, I did find the whole experience as the first sort of experience on the Internet very amusing. So it was kind of...
Wait, hold on. How old are you now? How old are you now?
I'm in my mid-40s.
How old were you then?
I was in my mid-30s. Your age, yeah.
We were most of us in that board were in our mid-20s.
Yeah. No, it was an age difference.
Nobody knew. That's the thing. Nobody had any clue how old B. Buster was. All they knew was B. Buster. It was the ultimate anonymity.
Yeah.
You could stand behind the name, and nobody knew who he was, what he looked like, and whatnot. This went on for years. In many ways, B. Buster became I won't say Lex Luthor, I'll go Superman. And I was Lex Luthor, or vice versa. Until we had an event. Which event was it?
Yes, it was the tour. I felt like, I've got to meet this guy. I'll come forward. I'm not, going to hide behind this thing,
That is one thing about you, too. You are not a... You do put your money where your mouth is. Right?
Yeah. In what way?
Or that he's not just hiding behind the Internet.
After 2.5 years, he wasn't.
He had it. Okay, look.
You know what I'm saying? Let's be careful with the plaudits we get.
I'm on your side on this, Kevin. I'm on your side.
It's one. If let's say
I'm
it just lasted a week, and then after a week, he was like, "Hey, I'm B. Buster," but we're talking 2.5 years.
Okay.
So.
But I'm on your side. I saw these same movies and I loved them.
Thank you, sir.
But Mike is seeing them and he's not liking them.
You know what? Mike absolutely loves them. That's the joke of it all. It's just, we've all seen the story before, and Mike's heart has grown 10 sizes now too big. Back in the day, it was 10 sizes too small, but now he has a normal heart.
So you go to this event. What is this? Is this like a tour
It was
thing?
a tour.
It was a tour. It was, we called it Stash Bash, Welcome Home Jay, I believe, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah. And
it was not the Welcome Home Jay, or it was just a Stash Bash where we were opening a new comic book store in Red Bank. We'd been on Mama Street for a while. We moved up to Broad Street after 2 years.
Right.
And it was pretty much perfectly celebrated the amount of time we'd had the message board. So there's a B. Buster anniversary in there somewhere. So we have this event where we're opening a comic store, and we were doing essentially a private tour at first, and then in addition to it, we ran a bus tour, a private tour of the place where we put up all the props, and then we did a bus tour where people would jump on a bus, and Brian O'Halloran, the guy who played Dante, would give a tour of all these locations that we did. So people were coming through, and at first, before they get on the bus, they come hang out in the store, and most people are getting something signed. And then a gentleman who looks like my uncle, not literally physically my uncle, but old enough to be my uncle, comes up to me and says, "Kevin," and then he says, "B. Buster." And I said, "No way," because there it is. There's the face of the enemy after all that time. And right then and there, man, suddenly I was just like, oh, the Internet made sense, because I was like, this is the guy who's made my life a living hell? And it was just nice to put a face to the name, and it wasn't like look at him, he's a loser or something like that, but it was just putting a face to it. And I was just like, oh. And I remember I wrote in his book, I win.
Yes, he did. he did win, and I conceded that. But the turning point, as far as some respect for you, came from actually seeing the Quick Stop itself.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think people really get a good sense seeing the movie. What a dingy and sort of, I thought, very confining store it was. I mean,
it's a hole. It's a little hole.
Yeah, no, I've had my share of dead end jobs, but that one you actually had to simulate being in a coffin. I mean, I really felt like it was the black hole of Calcutta or something.
It was that place is. I mean, that's the most impression. That's the impression most people walk out of that store with the most, where they're like, I had no idea it was so small. It looked so big in the movie.
And so from that day on, I've kind of thought of you almost as a great escape artist. You got out of that place.
I totally did. I mean, look, I'll be honest with you. What I do, I mean, if the story was like, and then Smith died, and the only person who never liked his stuff was B. Buster. But that was, he was the first of what I'd come to realize was many. I mean, I never really thought about it. It's like you make Clerks, make Lawrence, there was no internet. Then we get on the internet, we make Chasing Amy, and you realize the dynamic of the internet at first is like, wow, you're making yourself available to people who like what you do. But in doing that, you're also making yourself available to people who don't like what you do necessarily.
Right.
So encountering B. Buster / Mike, that was the first time that happened, certainly not the last. And when I look back at it now, bittersweet as hell, because I'm like, I'll take that any day over what it eventually became. I mean, that was like, back in the day, it stung, but now, in retrospect, I'm like, wow, man, it was like a lover's kiss compared to what I would go through later with people on the internet.
So Mike kind of helped you out in a way when you saw the kind face behind the vitriol.
It wasn't. Yeah, I mean, I'm not even joking, but that's kind of true. When I actually saw the face, and it was a human face. Don't you understand? It's like when you don't know who the aggressor is, you just see him as like fangs everywhere, fire coming out his nose. Every fingertip is dotted with a poison pen. He knows the chinks in your armor, man. And then you actually see the face, and you're like, it's just a dude. It's just a dude who didn't like the movie. You know what? There's going to be more of them.
Yeah.
And it took time. It took a long time. I'm not even going to lie, dude. Like, that was wave one, and then I would get better at it, at dealing with flamers that would come out, or trolls that come out of nowhere and just start attacking you because they don't like the fact that you went somewhere or did something that they didn't.
Exactly. People just spreading negative energy.
Yeah. And then, look, I mean, that's the thing. It's like that's why I could never just simply like, I mean, Mike, I think I banned you once, but brought you back, right?
No, I don't even remember.
Did I ever ban you?
I don't think I was ever banned.
That's the thing. It's like I easily could have been like, ban this dude from the website and never dealt with him, but I let it ride because I always thought about the fact that, like, if I hadn't made Clerks, how would I react to it? And I'd probably react to it that way, where I'd be like, this ain't that great. Why does this guy get a pass?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I ever really resorted to name calling, and I think that's kind of what.
I mean, there's fat stuff in there, but nothing,
Really? No,
but nothing. Yeah, but nothing like.
Okay, well.
But that was in the, and then once again, that too is in a frustrating period where it's just like, what I look like. I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to apologize now, Mike?
Yeah, I mean,
he does not need to apologize. You know what? We learn, we grow. It's a total.
For the personal stuff, this is what I'm going to say. This guy doesn't like your movies. That's his choice.
Absolutely.
But Mike, there's no place for making fun of somebody's personal appearance.
No, I'm definitely against that.
That's not even. You know what? In the heat of battle, people will throw out anything. And that gave him the edge. At that point in the discourse, he had the edge because he knew what I looked like. I didn't know what he looked like. Mm-hmm. So it's only natural that every once in a while, in a frustrating moment of like, because look, I don't want to paint it larger than it was, but it was pretty. You're talking about two very sharp wits who went back and forth.
Yes.
And the dude held his own. You know what I'm saying? Like, very well, to the point where, like, online it looked like, I'd be like, well played, B. Buster, but at home I'd be like,
now you're making me feel bad.
Why does he kill me so much? I can't tell you how many girlfriends I probably at that point was just like, this guy, B. Buster. I probably didn't have sex with him because I spent hours online battling with this dude.
Oh, actually, one of the highlights I do remember when Linda Fiorentino said that I was one of her favorite posters on the board.
Yeah, and then I never put her in another movie.
But also, I don't know if you remember, the funny thing was, once we sort of made our peace after I met you, it kind of did neutralize things.
Yes.
And people were disappointed. It was like people were like, "Oh, why can't that continue?"
That's because nobody goes to the Coliseum to see the dude pet the lion. You know what I'm saying? Like they want to see the fight. And if you got two dudes, if you got a lion and a gladiator just sitting there picking their teeth and going, talking about other stuff, suddenly it's just not as entertaining anymore.
Okay.
But you know what? On the gladiator, it's a lot easier.
All right, this is the Mike Show. You're listening, and this is Kevin Smith I'm speaking to. I'd like to, enough with this history. I'd like to move on. Like I said, there's nothing more forgettable than an internet feud.
Apparently not. I'm hearing your radio too.
How do you like? I guess you're splitting your time in California now.
I mean, to say I'm splitting it would be unfair. I spend the majority of the time out there, but I do come back to Jersey at least once a month, or have for the last year, and usually for anywhere from like 3 days to a week or something like that. Now I'm back on the East Coast. I'm down in Battery Park, which I don't know if anybody's ever been to Battery Park. I mean, maybe people don't want to come here anymore because it's proximity to Ground Zero, but my God, it may be the best kept secret in Manhattan.
Oh, no, it's beautiful down there, yeah.
Oh, it's so beautiful and so quiet. Dude, I'm looking out my window right now. There's literally 2 cars on the road, 2 cars on a Manhattan street, and this is a main thoroughfare. This is the end of the West Side Highway. It's so beautiful here, and there's Jersey right across the way.
When do you think you'll start filming?
We start June 1. We've locked up most of our locations. We're still in the midst of casting. The biggest casting hurdle was, of course, casting the 2 guys, and we got those 2 dudes. So now it's about everybody else and locking up the locations. And we're doing this kind of, I don't know, we're shooting in New York, but not shooting in New York, because every New York movie you see, it's all Manhattan and whatnot mostly. And we're kind of dedicated to making an Attleboro movie. So we're shooting like Far Rockaway, Queens, Brooklyn, places like that. And then we do have like one scene toward the end of the movie that happens in Manhattan, but the rest of it is outside of Manhattan, but in New York. And it's so weird because you grow up around here, and I've spent so much time in the city, and you always think, like, I know New York, and it's a real point of honor, point of bragging rights for somebody from New Jersey to say they know the city very well, or to drive in the city. Like, I've driven people from out of town in the city, and, oh, my God, how can you do it? And they make you feel so impressive. But you think you know New York until you step off Manhattan to an outer borough, and it's a whole different city.
That's true, yeah.
Oh, my God, it's crazy, dude. I'm meeting people in Brooklyn who are like, you're living over in Manhattan? What's that like? And I was like, well, you've been there. Like, never.
Yeah. Wow. No, it's true.
A dude who's literally never left that place and came here, and it's like a 5-minute walk, kind of.
Now, just to restate for people who don't know, these 2 guys you got in the movie, that's not just, these are not just 2 regular guys.
One's another Jersey guy, to Pride of Penns Grove, Mr. Bruce Willis, and the other's Tracy Morgan.
And I also read, I was surprised, this is the first one you haven't written the script for.
I know.
That's a big deal.
I know. You beat it out of me with all that criticism of my writing. I got abandoned writing.
How did this script even come to you?
The studio, Warner Brothers, is making it, and there's a dude who runs the studio named Jeff Robinov who really loved the last movie we did. And I'd received a script, and it happens every once in a while. People send scripts for me to direct, but generally, I mean, never have I done it before, with the exception of the pilot for Reaper. So generally, they don't get looked at. But there was one that came through that had 2 dudes' names on it that I know, Rob and Mark Cullen, Cullen, and they had written this man-child pilot that I directed, that I'd been in as an actor, not a director, 2 years prior. So I thought maybe they'd sent me the script for read it and tell us if you think it's funny. And so I put it to the side because I was in the middle of promoting Zach and Miri. And then I got a call or an email rather, from Jeff Robinov saying, have you read that script I sent you, A Couple of Dicks? And I was like, oh my God, it rang a distant bell. And I was like, what, the Cullen Brothers script? You sent it to me? What am I reading it with an eye toward? And he said directing. And I was like, wow. And I read it and loved it. It was the kind of movie that, like, my dad absolutely would have loved. And it's weird how, like, you get older and your motivations change. Like, I would never have considered making this movie 10, 15 years ago. But, like, I'm 38. My father's dead. I'm older now. It's like I spent years and years being, for lack of a better expression, the angry young man during my career. I was, just full of spit and vinegar, and like everything I had to say was important. And now I'm 38, and I'm just like, you know what? I don't have anything to say right now, but I like this script, so I want to direct it.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a time in my life where I was like, I'll never direct something I didn't write. And I even said it somewhere in print. I think I was like, if you ever see me directing something that I didn't write, then I got a mortgage to pay off. And I was freaked out. I almost didn't take the job because I'm like, they're going to think that I have a mortgage, and I don't. I'm good. I'm just doing this because I want to do it. But that's it. Like, motivations come from weird places. And on this one, I read the script, and I'm like, I could never write something like this. It would never occur to me. It's a buddy cop movie.
Okay.
And for some reason, most people go like, well, what's so hard about writing a buddy cop movie? It does it a disservice to kind of dismissively call it that. It's very, very funny, and the interplay is really good. But what it reminds you of is the movie that, like, your father would have loved. Mm-hmm. Like, it's your father's favorite movie. And we're losing that. The movies, that kind of appeal to dads, because now my generation, are dads, right? And so people, when I talk about my father and his favorite movies, it's always stuff like the Clint Eastwood movies, Roadhouse, all the things that make up the TNT classics. Mm-hmm. Now, my generation, my kid is going to be like, oh, my father's favorite movie? I think it might be Star Wars. He's such an idiot. Something like that. Mm-hmm. So, the movies they used to have a real butch quality to them, Mm-hmm. And now, the father's favorite movies are like sci-fi, geeky movies, like, oh, I love the new Star Trek. It's like, there's just there doesn't seem to be the same level of, masculine movie watching that went on when, I guess, our fathers were younger or whatever. I don't know. Do you follow me? I'm kind of...
Yeah, no, I think I see what you mean. Maybe, is it because the different types of actors?
Yeah, that, and just the storyline, and, I would never make a movie like this. The movies that I generally write, people dealing with issues and coming to terms with stuff, and this movie is more of a plot-driven movie where there's, A and B are trying to secure C in order for D to happen and stuff like that. And, it's definitely a familiar movie. Nobody will look at this and be like, what strange, type of storytelling from outer space is this? They'll be like, oh, I get it. There's a paradigm for them to work off of. They've seen the buddy cop movie. And then it's kind of what you're doing in it that's different that makes it stand out a little bit. But for me, I just look at it and go, of all the things that I've made in the past, this would be the one where my dad would go, that was good. Mm-hmm. The other stuff, it just wasn't for him.
Yeah.
And, he could look at it and be like, well, clearly my son kind of knows how to operate a camera, and he's okay with a turn of phrase, but it's not for me, Mm-hmm. I mean, but he just wouldn't take it the next step and post on a message board about how it wasn't for him.
Right.
But he would, you could tell in his face. I'd show my dad my movies, and there'd be this sense of hey, good job, Kev. Or I'm so surprised that you, of all people, had this in you. But you could see, too, that it was just oh, man, what a tough sit. My old man's not going to watch something like Chasing Amy and be moved by it. When I remember I showed my parents Chasing Amy, and when the movie was over, my dad was sleeping, and my mom was crying. And, I didn't know how to react to that. And I said, Mom, why are you crying? Because I was really moved by that. I made my mother cry with my work. I moved her. And then she goes, I identify with that movie in ways you'll never understand. And I was like, what? And then there's my father sleeping right next to her. But early in the evening, when the movie first started, there he is laughing at oral joke. If you will.
Sure.
So I was that was a little disturbing, because there's your father sitting next to your mother laughing at a joke about something they probably did, but you never want to think about it. And then he was out cold, and then he lost interest because he's like, "What? What's this dude's problem?" Oh, forget it, and he was out. Nobody pulled the gun. Nobody shot anybody. My father lost interest.
You're listening to the Mike Show with Kevin Smith. We've got a few more minutes. I just wanted to first off ask how Jason Mewes is doing. After seeing Zach Amir, I felt like I gave him a physical, so he looked pretty good.
He did. He's been clean now. Let me see, 7 years. It's coming up, I think, in June. Yeah, it's around his birthday and Jen's birthday. In June, it will be 7 years that he's been clean and sober. So a week or 2 weeks after that he'll be he will have been cleaner longer than when he was on drugs.
Oh, that's great.
He's and like completely like he put it down. It's amazing, dude. Like I don't ever want to hear anybody talk about, oh, I can't do it. It's impossible to quit drugs, or this person OD'd because they couldn't get off it. Mewes was a fiend. Mewes was a stone cold junkie.
Is the article you wrote about your friendship during that time still online, or?
Yeah. I think it is. If not, it's in that book. I think that, you know what, it might be offline now because of the when Titan published it, they asked that all those blogs be pulled off.
Oh, which book is it in?
It was called My Boring Ass Life.
Oh, okay.
A collection of all the blog stuff.
Actually, I complimented you at the time. I really did think that was the best thing I thought you had written.
At the of the J thing.
Yeah, that article. I just thought it was funny. It was harrowing. I didn't really know how much you had gone through with that situation. Have you ever seen Intervention? I'm a big fan of that show.
No, I've never seen it. No.
You guys,
but I lived it, dude. I lived it.
you could have done the best Intervention episode ever.
No doubt. It was and honestly, I would have been the worst guy because all I ever did was make that situation worse. If I had just let him fall early on, we might not have gone as far as we did. Like, every counselor was always like, you got to let this dude hit rock bottom. And I'm just like, I can't. What if his rock bottom is him dead? And they're like, well, that's it. If that's his choice, that's his choice, but you can't stop it. So for years, I was all about, like, throwing out the net at the last minute when he got close to hitting the ground. And then finally, I hit that place where I was like, dude, you can't. I went for tough love, where I was like, dude, you can't come in the house. You can't be around the kid because it confuses the kid. She's like 3 years old, and she loves you to death, but she sees you come every time you look different. Now you don't even look like you anymore, and you're sketchy around the kid because you're more interested in securing cash to go out and secure some junk or smack than you are in, like, hanging out with the kid who just worships you and stuff. And I was like, so I can't do that to my kid anymore. I can't let you break her heart. It's like, it's one thing you do it to me, whatever, I'm a grown-up, but she doesn't understand. So you come to the house, dude, I can't let you in the house anymore. I'll sit outside and talk to you, but you can't come in the house. It's just, you're too destructive.
Yeah, it was a scary story, and I recommend it to anybody. I thought it was really well written.
Thank you, sir. It really works out well for him. I mean, that's the point of that story. Is like, this was a dude who really he was the worst of the worst, and somehow by himself found a way to, like, pull himself out of the hole. And he's the hero of his own story. And most people would quickly tell you, like, he's the hero and the goat because he got on drugs, but. You talk about a dude genetically predisposed. He had a mother that was doing heroin when he was in the womb. And this kid, I tell you, $1 million heart, Jason Mewes. Sometimes he's got a nickel head, but a totally $1 million heart. He's one of the sweetest, nicest people you'll ever meet in your life. He's like a 9-year-old to some degree, or make him an 11-year-old. Not even 11-year-old. He's like a 6-year-old, with a filthy mind. But now he's married, so he's kind of calmed down. But he's always like his childlike qualities have always kind of outweighed even the bad, except at that point when he got to his absolute worst with the heroin. Then suddenly that childlike quality was gone completely, and he just became this, like, destructive vacuum that would show up and suck up what it needed and then disappear. But man, did he save himself in a big bad way, and he did it. He pulled himself up by his bootstraps, and he put himself in rehab, and he did the work, and now, we're coming up on 7 years. Dude that hasn't even drank. Wow. Like, some people be like, all right, well, I quit the smack, and I quit heroin, or I quit, crystal meth, but I'm still drinking because I'm not giving everything up. Dude went cold turkey and managed to do it. If he can do it, anybody can do it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was a great story, and I'm had a great ending. We're winding down, Kevin. I just want to thank you a lot. I mean, for taking the time to come on the Mike Show.
No worries. I'm sorry for blabbing the whole time.
And don't be a stranger. This is a New Jersey-based show.
Yeah, and there's every Tuesday. I might pop in.
Yeah.
Well, when you look out across from your place and you see that Colgate clock.
I see that Colgate clock.
That's us.
You guys are right there?
Yeah.
We're a stone's throw from there.
Why can't they adjust the time to the correct time on that Colgate clock?
I don't know.
What's going on? Like, it's lit up, so you imagine somebody's working on it.
Why don't you get on that? Why don't you harass the Colgate clock people, Mike?
Yeah, really, dude. Do something constructive, would you?
Okay, I'll do that. All right, thanks again, Kevin.
No problem.
Thanks
for having me, man.
Thank you so much.
Good time. No worries. Thanks, guys.
Good night.
Bye.
Good guy. Class act. Kevin Smith on the Mike Show.
How about that?
You didn't think it could happen?
I didn't think it would happen. You, somehow. I'll tell you one thing. I will never underestimate you again.
Thank you, Tom.
I will never underestimate you again. You're deceptive. You look like you're just kind of Mr. Normal, and then you tell me I got something planned. Just trust me, I got something planned, and I'm like, all right, whatever you got planned, and then, boom, you pull something like that off. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. The Mike Show. I gotta say, this Mike Show, this might have to be my Colbert Report. If I'm Jon Stewart, I might have to launch this now.
Stuff is happening, Tom.
Kudos to you.
Kudos. Yeah, that was a word I saw a lot on the View Askew message board.
In what context?
Yeah, it was just lots of kudos on that board.
Uh-huh.
Like I said, I didn't go on there to slam him.
Uh-huh.
You know, I went on there and, out of curiosity, and it was like one of the first websites, message boards I went to.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, I could not contain myself after a certain period of time. And
You could not stay silent.
I could not stay silent. And then I did have a ball, just rousing these guys up. They were coming at me left and right, I didn't really have any friends there. It was pretty much me against the entire population of this message board.
And they were just coming at you from all sides.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Did you, when you went to that event, were you worried physically?
You're right. I mean, he could have had some goons waiting for me.
Yeah.
They could have just sat on me, squashed me, hustle me out the back.
Yeah.
It was a concern.
Mm-hmm.
I was with a friend, so there would have been a witness.
But you were still, and again, heaven help me for saying this, brave enough to go there face to face.
Yeah.
And face down your tormentee.
I did. Yeah. I felt like. I mean, I felt bad hearing him. I thought I tried to steer clear of personal stuff, but obviously he remembers stuff I can't remember.
Yeah,
but,
there's no place for that.
No, it's not my way.
This is the sick thing now. This is my worst nightmare. I think is going to happen. I am on the Twitter along with you.
Okay.
I'm in the 2700s. You're coming up on 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's going to give you a mention, and you're just going to all of a sudden. I'm going to be in your wake.
Fate is funny that way.
Fate is funny that way. What is happening here? What is... Oh. This is the guy. Oh. Holy moly. First you go in. I have Todd Barry on. You come in with some business proposition. This guy's actually ready to write you a check on the spot to finance these tours you're doing of the grocery store in Bayonne.
I think he sees the worth of my work.
Now, hey, let me do Mike's show again. Sure. Boom, Kevin Smith. Unbelievable. Will wonders never cease? Who's next? That's all. Don't even tell me. I just want to see what happens next. But just remember this, Mike. You're running a little. You're getting a taste of it now. And what was that thing you said was a funny thing? Fate.
Fate, yes.
So remember, I think Ray Davis said it best. I think Was it Ray? It's Davies.
Ray Davies.
I think Ray Funk Davies said it best when he said, "Success walks hand in hand with failure along Hollywood Boulevard." You just remember that.
Oh, I those are wise words.
Just remember, you might be tasting a little bit of success right now. Boom. There's a reason why Mickey Rourke bottomed out for 20 years. There was a reason why the wrestler had to be a comeback, because he needed to go away. Mm-hmm. He didn't choose to go away. He all of a sudden turned around one day and realized he was 100 miles away from ever getting in a good movie again.
But Tom, I don't see any plastic surgery in my future.
Wait, Mickey Rourke had plastic surgery?
Yeah, I think.
I don't know about that.
He's had a little work done.
I'm not sure about that. Well, what would lead you to believe that? The fact that it looks like he's pressing his face against the glass?
Yes.
Like it looks like he's always staring at you through a window?
Yes.
Like a bakery window?
Yes.
Like a child looking at piping hot cookies in a bakery window?
I'm looking at the DVD. They had to obscure the face.
Yeah.
That would be too frightening to the consumer.
Exactly.
I'm
surprised they didn't make him one of those masked wrestlers. Like the Luca Libre.
Uh-huh.
Let me just say this. If I can take a moment of the Mike Show to say everybody should realize that this Saturday, May 9th, between 3 to 6 p.m., on the Cherry Blossom Clinic with Terry T, the one and only Chrome Cranks back together after a 12-year hiatus. A truly great band, reuniting, playing live on the Cherry Blossom Clinic this Saturday. They've got a greatest hits album out called The Murder of Time. You're going to hear a lot of stuff from that. So you can check them out live. If you want to see them live at a venue, go to Santos Party House on May 8th. Glasslands Gallery in Brooklyn on May 15th, but on your radio on WFMU, Chrome Cranks live Saturday, May 9th between 3 to 6 p.m. on the Cherry Blossom Clinic with Terry T. FMU, you're on the air.
I'm on the air?
No, you're not.
See what happens?
Yeah.
I'm not out there. It's chaos.
It is chaos. This is a sad thing. I used to think, Mike is like the he's kind of like the behind the scenes thing that makes helps things run smoothly. I'm starting to feel the other way. I think I'm I think you're in charge. Did you hear that?
Oh. I'm just ready to walk out the door and go home.
Mike Show. Technically, he's still on the best show. Technically,
I'm under contract.
That's still mine. I
had to sign that contract.
Yes, I do get it. It expires. It's longer than the thing with the deal with Britain and Hong Kong. It runs longer. 99 years.
You do have that renewing option.
Yes, the Scharpling Empire. FMU, you're on the air.
Hey, Tom. How's it going?
Going all right. Who's this?
This is Pat from Jersey City.
Hey, Pat. How are you?
Pretty good. Great show tonight, guys.
Thanks, Pat.
And I have to say, Mike's come a long way on the air. I remember his first time on the air.
Yeah.
Because I was there for it. Yeah. It was for the failed Morning Zoo attempt. And that was when he was new at being the call screener, right?
This guy couldn't get 2 words out.
Right.
You bombed because he was bombing. But now this guy, we're watching the poopa stage here, the butterfly. Holy moly! Are you ready? Are you ready, Evan?
Oh, I'm ready.
Some pretty exciting news. Evan Funk Davies has as a guest tonight. He's going to have Werner Herzog on. Is that next?
I think so.
You're going to have Werner Herzog next?
I'm working on it.
Oh, you'll get him. No, don't worry. Yeah. Just tell me when, not if. When? Why'd you get Mickey Rourke on?
I'm working on that, too. I've got a few irons in the fire.
Everybody, I just want to say, this is WFMU East Orange, WXHD Mount Hope, worldwide on the World Wide Web at WFMU.org. www.ccc.org.